if you read anything about mental health care and technology right now, you would think we don't need any more therapists. Everybody's going to be replaced by robots, and it'll be all good, right? The generative AI revolution is coming for therapists. And in my role as a professor, I do have occasionally students asking, am I like wasting my time? But what we really need, and what the future of technology in mental health care really is about supporting the work of human therapists and caseworkers and call takers and coaches who are doing this stuff. And how do we make it to where they're not on their own? Because right now they often are. You sit down with someone who's in the most difficult place in their lives, and all of a sudden, I don't have a co-pilot. I don't have anybody really to consult with me in real time. Surgeons often, they usually aren't on their own. They have people around them when they're doing the work. Pilots have assistants, right? We all need support. And so when I think about the future of this, right now the tools that Lyssn is building are really exciting because they can make that support much more immediate and much more effective and much more reliable. So I think there's so many opportunities for us to do that sort of work where the technology at a fundamental level exists now, but what we really need, instead of to just throw it out there, is a framework for starting to do the science that can support the utility of that. How do we do it in a way that's useful? How do we do it in a way that we make sure actually helps people? And what we haven't quite gotten to yet, but I think there are starting to be some emerging trends here where we're thinking about, okay, what are the different types of technologies that are going to be available here? How do we think about the potential benefits, but also the potential risks? What are the ways we need to be evaluating those risks? How do we make sure that people who are engaging and working with these tools have informed consent, and that we're building things in an ethical way where we can sustain growth and support over time? So when we bring a new technology like this into really any area of health and wellness, we need to think about what are the potential benefits, but what are also the potential limitations. For example, right now our technology can give after-action review to a caseworker who's worked with a family and can then get information on like, oh, here's the different types of interventions I used. But what if that technology is also giving them real-time support? Well, that's potentially interesting and could be useful, where instead of having to be like, oh gosh, I wish I would have asked that, or I wish I would have said this, you can get that just-in-time feedback. But what's a framework for thinking about the potential risks of that? Could it be distracting to the caseworker, where they're actually taken out of the moment with the client in a way that's not really helpful? Could it push in a way that maybe is less useful and inconsistent with the caseworker's judgment? And how do we ensure that that doesn't happen and that they're actually being supported by it, but not pushed in a way that's inappropriate and helpful? And so there's just a lot of different things to think through with each potential use case, right? Even with other use cases where it's like we're starting to push into predicting, oh, we think this type of interaction here is really going to lead to a potentially good outcome or not. In each case, we really do need to be thinking about the ways in which this could be beneficial and the ways in which it might not be. And how do we make sure, given that the stakeholders are getting true informed consent into that process, that they're asking, what does this mean for me? How am I involved in this? What sort of data is being used? All of those things and those questions need to be asked and should be at the forefront of this work, because we're just at the beginning. And if we can build a framework where there is some level of trust and understanding of where this is going, I think we're going to have a much more sustainable future.